They gave up everything to follow Christ. For most, it would cost them their lives. This is what happened to the 12 apostles after the Gospels. 12 men walked alongside Jesus, spreading his message across distant lands. But after his crucifixion, their paths led to pain, persecution, and martyrdom. Their fates were sealed on by one. They met tragic and brutal ends. But why? And what can we learn from their sacrifices? Welcome to Faithflix Bible Anime, where we explore the lesser-known stories of biblical history. In today's study, we'll examine the final moments of Jesus' 12 apostles. Show they lived, how they died, and how their sacrifices shaped the growth of Christianity. From crucifixion and beheading to exile and execution, their stories are filled with courage, betrayal, and commitment to their faith. They were fishermen, tax collectors, and political activists, ordinary men, selected for an extraordinary task. The 12 apostles were chosen by Jesus to spread his teachings. After his resurrection, their mission became both urgent and dangerous. They walked with him during his ministry, learned directly from his teachings, and after his resurrection, they carried his message to the world. The 12 apostles: Peter, Simon Peter, the rock of the church; Andrew, the first called; James, son of Zebedee, the passionate preacher; John, the beloved disciple; Philip, the evangelist; Bartholomew, also known as Nathanael, a devout follower; Thomas, known for initially doubting the resurrection; Matthew, a former tax collector turned gospel writer; James, son of Alphaeus, known as James the Less; Thaddeus, also called Jude, known for offering hope; Simon, the Zealot, formerly a revolutionary; Judas Iscariot, the disciple who betrayed Jesus. After the resurrection of Jesus, the apostles faced the responsibility of sharing his message across the known world. They traveled to different regions, some to Rome, others to India, Ethiopia, Persia, and beyond. Their efforts contributed to the early spread of Christianity, but it also placed them in danger. One by one, they were arrested, tortured, and killed for their beliefs. The following accounts are drawn from New Testament references, early church writings, and historical sources. Simon Peter was a key leader in the early church. He preached in Rome, where Christians faced severe persecution under Emperor Nero. Following the Great Fire of Rome in 64 AD, Peter was arrested. He was crucified, but at his request was hung upside down, because he did not consider himself worthy to die in the same manner as Jesus. His tomb is believed to be located beneath St. Peter's Basilica in Vatican City. Andrew, Peter's brother, preached in regions including Greece. He was arrested and sentenced to death by crucifixion. Instead of being nailed to a traditional cross, he was bound to an X-shaped cross, which prolonged his suffering. He continued preaching until he died. His symbol, the saltire cross, is associated with Scotland, where he is regarded as the patron saint. James, son of Zebedee, was one of the first disciples called by Jesus and part of his inner circle. He was executed by beheading in Jerusalem in 44 AD under the order of King Herod Agrippa. According to tradition, the person who had accused him was so moved by James's conduct that he converted and was executed alongside him. His remains are associated with Santiago de Compostela in Spain. John, the brother of James, was the only apostle present at Jesus' crucifixion. He later cared for Mary, Jesus' mother. John was arrested during Emperor Domitian's reign and was reportedly subjected to boiling oil but survived. He was then exiled to the island of Patmos, where he wrote the Book of Revelation. After the emperor's death, he returned to Ephesus and lived to old age, dying naturally unlike the other apostles. Philip spread the gospel in regions like Phrygia, modern-day Turkey. He was eventually arrested in Hierapolis and crucified. Even while suffering, he reportedly continued to preach. His tomb was discovered in 2011 by archaeologists in the ruins of the city where he died. Bartholomew, also known as Nathanael, evangelized in India, Mesopotamia, and Armenia. In Armenia, he converted King Ptolemyus, which led to opposition from local priests. According to tradition, he was flayed alive and then beheaded. His relics were later moved to Rome, and he is buried in the Basilica of St. Bartholomew on the Tiber Island. Thomas, often remembered for initially doubting Jesus' resurrection, Thomas later became a strong missionary figure. He traveled to India, where he established Christian communities and churches. He was killed near present-day Chennai, pierced by a spear while in prayer. His tomb remains at the Santom Basilica in Chennai, India. Matthew, once a tax collector, became one of the gospel writers. He preached in Ethiopia, converting many. Local religious leaders who felt threatened by his teachings allegedly had him executed by sword while he was leading a church service. His gospel continues to be one of the primary texts in the New Testament. James, son of Alphaeus, James the Less, led the early Christian community in Jerusalem. He was taken before the Jewish Sanhedrin and commanded to deny Jesus. He refused, and tradition holds that he was thrown from the temple's roof. Surviving the fall, he was then beaten to death with a club. His death is seen as a model of quiet strength and endurance. Jude, also called Thaddeus, traveled with Simon the Zealot to Persia. Both preached and converted many, but were eventually arrested. Jude was killed with a club. He is remembered today as the patron saint of hopeless causes and is often called upon by those in difficult situations. Simon the Zealot likely preached in Egypt and Persia, working alongside Jude. Accounts of his death vary. Some say he was crucified, while others say he was sawn in half. Despite the method, tradition agrees that he was killed for refusing to renounce his faith. Judas Iscariot, the disciple who betrayed Jesus for 30 pieces of silver, later attempted to return the money. Overcome with guilt, he took his own life by hanging. Another account in the book of Acts describes him falling in a field and dying. His story is often cited as a cautionary tale about the consequences of betrayal and remorse. While some of these stories are found in the New Testament, many details come from early church historians, such as Eusebius, and writings like the Acts of Peter and Acts of Thomas. Roman historians Tacitus and Suetonius confirm that Christians were persecuted during the early empire, especially under Nero. Despite intense persecution, the martyrdom of the apostles did not destroy Christianity. Instead, it strengthened it. Their willingness to die for their faith inspired others to remain steadfast. Their sacrifices became a central part of the church's growth and resilience. By the early 4th century, Christianity had spread widely across the Roman world. In 313 AD, Emperor Constantine issued the Edict of Milan, which legalized Christianity. Eventually, it became the official religion of the empire. Today, the apostles are remembered not just for how they died, but for how they lived. Their missionary work, teachings, and commitment to Christ laid the foundation of Christianity. Their tombs, relics, and churches remind us of the price they paid to spread the gospel. They remind us that faith often comes at a cost, but also that it has the power to endure beyond persecution, beyond death, and across generations.
If this journey spoke to your soul, don't let it end here. Like, share, and subscribe for stories that bring faith to life with every frame and every word.